It feels imminent at this point as NHL insider Kevin Weeks revealed a huge Canucks and Evander Kane trade update as he went as far as revealing the two top destinations in on Evander Kane and the most likely outcome for the forward as the Vancouver Canucks continue looking for draft capital heading into this draft to jumpstart their rebuild. We're going to break down these two teams that Kevin Weeks has linked Evander Kane to and the outcome for the Vancouver Canucks as they look to get as much draft capital heading into the 2026 draft. Now with the Canucks, we know bottom of the standings with the highest odds at least to land the first overall pick at 0.1% to make the playoffs. Let's hope that doesn't happen for us as fans as we're looking forward to land someone like Ivor Stenberg or Gavin McKenna heading into this draft. Now, the Canucks have made it very clear they're going to prioritize this draft coming up, landing that first round pick in the Quinn Hughes trade, getting 2 seconds for Kiefer Sherwood to the San Jose Sharks, and this just scratches the surface on multiple moves the Canucks are hopefully going to make heading into deadline. Now, the big thing with the Canucks, Teddy Blueger is a name to watch, of course, on the market. Derek Forbort was before looking like being out for the rest of the season, but this dives straight into a report that we just got from Kevin Weeks from the NHL Network, going out to say, per multiple sources, I'm told the Dallas Stars and Colorado Avalanche are the most likely destinations for Canucks forward Evander Kane. Now we're going to dive into some comparables on what Evander Kane could get on the open market from these teams, but the big thing with Kane, what a lot of people and teams are looking at, is acquiring the power forward that had some very good success with the Oilers during their playoff runs. We can see 12 points in 21 games, 8 points in 20 games. Evander Kane does come up big and back-to-back goals for the Vancouver Canucks in their past 2 games, of course. But with Evander Kane, a name that once a lot of people reported were going to be impossible to move on from this forward, the Canucks forward is now up to 23 points in 49 games. Now, the big thing with Evander Kane and moving on from him, looking at last year's trade deadline, a good comparable is looking at Anthony Beauvillier, and I shouldn't say Canucks legend, but he did have a cup of tea with the team, was traded from the Pittsburgh Penguins to the Washington Capitals in exchange for a 3rd round pick. Now, when going into Anthony Beauvillier, and we're going to break down these two teams plus another sleeper team in on Evander Kane, Beauvillier had 20 points over 63 games with the Penguins before going to the Capitals. So if he can acquire a 2nd round pick, of course, a very small contract at 1.2, Evander Kane with 23 points over his 49 games, it does make it seem like when the Canucks do retain, this can be a half retain, of course, the closer you get to deadline, the smaller the cap hit, but Evander Kane could truly actually fetch something of value for this Canucks team as they look to add even more draft capital heading into the draft. Now, the first thing to look at Evander Kane, 5.1, if you're retaining half, about 2.5, but of course, the closer to deadline, like I said, the smaller the cap hit actually is, so teams are going to look at this, and you're not only paying for a winger that can fall right into your middle 6, but also a winger at half retained is going to fire the value up. Now, looking at the Colorado Avalanche, they don't have a lot of draft picks during this draft in the first couple of rounds. The 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round, no draft capital, but when you get to the 4th and 5th round, we can say they have a lot, and they also are hoarding 7th round picks for some reason. So if the Canucks look at this and say, hey, we have a chance to maybe go after that Minnesota Wild 2nd round pick, and with us retaining, we'd like to snag one of those 5th round picks. This does seem like a premium, but once again, when you're looking at the Beauvillier trade, and a lot of teams are looking to get better and continue to be good, I know the Colorado Avalanche are having a historic season. But if the Canucks can land that 2nd round pick, once again from the Minnesota Wild, this is a team that can add that extra second. You would have back-to-back years with 2 2nd round picks. You hopefully pick up another 1st round pick at some point with one of your players. So the Canucks could go through with 4 picks in the top 2 rounds over the next 2 years. Now, going farther into this, the Dallas Stars, a team that does have 2nd round picks. If you can poach this and get a 2nd round pick or a 3rd round pick, This is a win for the Canucks. Yes, you give up assets, or at least one asset in draft capital, to acquire Evander Kane coming from the Edmonton Oilers, but at the end of the day, if you can even minimalistically upgrade this a small bit, if you can get a 1-round pick upgrade, this is a win in your eyes for the Canucks. If you can come out with exactly what they give up, I believe a fourth round pick, if you can come out with it, that is perfect as well. But I think the Canucks are sneakily getting into the possibility to actually get draft capital for Evander Kane, which I felt like was almost impossible just a month ago. Now, going farther into this, we can see even more reports, and I did a full video on this linking them to the LA Kings. But going farther, the guy that I wonder about is Evander Kane and the LA. I think there could be a fit there. Now, of course, Ken Holland, the former general manager for the Edmonton Oilers who signed Evander Kane to a contract, is the GM of the LA Kings, and he's loving to bring in these older guys. When looking at the roster, I think it was 5 or 6 guys above the age of 30, including a 40-year-old Corey Perry who's having a really good season. But if you can go out and poach once again a pick from the LA Kings, a team that has a lot of capital over the next 2 years. By that, they're only missing 1 pick and have extras. If you can land that 2nd round pick, Columbus theirs, or even Dallas's 3rd, once again, the Canucks add even more to their cupboard as they're going farther through. Now, with the Canucks linked to this and seeing Kevin Weeks, a very good source, coming out to say that the Dallas Stars and Avalanche are the likely destinations for the Canucks forward, this does make it seem like the Canucks are going to easily be able to move off a couple guys within this lineup. Of course, you have those guys that I've spoke on. Teddy Blueger is most certainly going to be traded heading into the deadline. Kiefer Sherwood was probably one of the hottest names, fetching 2 second-round picks and an AHL defenseman that does look decent in the AHL, but of course, an undrafted. He probably won't take the jump. Evander Kane, Derek Forbort's off now, but the Canucks are going to get calls on absolutely everyone. And I think the biggest reason the Canucks should start looking at this and make this an imminent trade is the fact that you have the young guys within Absurd who finally got their ring for winning the Calder Cup. It's almost a full year later. But Jonathan Lekkerimäki, the guys in Absurd who are showing out. Jonathan Lekkerimäki, who's dealt with injuries this season, 9 goals in 14 games, 14 points at a point per game. Jonathan Lekkerimäki is going to be a future and a staple in the top 9 of this Canucks team. Tom Villander made that jump straight in. Zboy Makos, we traded for one of the top premier defender pieces in the NHL, but Jonathan Lekkerimäki is a very good goal scorer, someone that's eventually going to, and he's already knocking on the door to get into the NHL. So faster moving on from these guys like Evander Kane and Teddy Blueger, gets those young guys like Jonathan Lekkerimäki and Aatu Räty. Maybe you want to look at this team and give Lukas Reichel another chance within this team to try to bolster value. But Canucks fans, how do you feel about this? What is your thoughts on Kevin Weeks naming 2 teams, the top destinations, and probably most likely that Evander Kane's going to land with? Let us know all your thoughts down in the comments. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. Once again, we're trying to reach 9,000 subscribers, and I can't thank you guys enough. But I've been your host, Mark Bai, and take care, Canucks fans.